Recorded Books Inspirational presents an unabridged recording of The Quilt by T. Davis Bunn, narrated by Christina Moore. This work is copyrighted 1993 by T. Davis Bunn. This recording is copyrighted 2003 by Recorded Books. The author begins with the following quote from the King James Version of the Bible, Psalm number 97, verses 11 through 12. Light is sown for the righteous, and gladness for the upright in heart. Rejoice in the Lord, ye righteous, and give thanks at the remembrance of his holiness. And now, The Quilt.
Once upon a time, not so very long ago, there was a little girl who grew up and had a family and tried to raise it as she thought the Lord would want. After a while, in the ways of this earth, she found herself growing old. The seasons seemed to whirl by with ever-increasing speed. The older she became, the harder it was to stop and savor each little moment, because all the moments that had come before were now ganging up on her, pushing her with ever greater pressure toward that final door. Life's current became so swift that the days and weeks and months which used to mark her passage no longer held any meaning. They all flowed together into a kindly pastel blur, with little flecks of light every now and then to illuminate the world before her failing eyes. Grandchildren were born, other little girls to help take the first fragile steps upon life's way. Lifetime friends passed on to that higher ground, their absence like vacuums in her world. And the faster the currents seemed to flow, the more still she seemed to become. All her remaining energy became focused on that which lay ahead. There came a time when her hands grew swollen and twisted by arthritis. She would look down at them and have difficulty seeing them as they were. Somewhere deep inside, she knew, was captured the fragile beauty of a 17-year-old farm girl who had given her life in holy matrimony to a man now 11 years in the grave. Sometimes she would look away from the window by which she sat, or look down from the television that kept her company between visits of her beloved family, and she would knead and squeeze her hands, one with the other. There were so many skills within those hands, so many memories, so many stories to tell. And something would touch her heart then, a gentle yearning, the whisper of a melody she would strain and still not be able to hear. It was like waking in the middle of the night, lying there in her lonely darkness, staring at the ceiling overhead, and listening to the laughter of children who had now grown up to have children of their own. Yet she could still hear her young children and feel them so close that it was almost as though they were there in the room with her. Exactly what it was they said she could not make out, but somehow she felt it was important, as though these gentle ghosts of a time long gone were there to remind her of something. And during her days, as she sat and pressed and kneaded her fingers, she would hear a gentle voice calling to her. There was something left undone. When the neighbors talked of her, which was often, they all used one word to describe her. The word was beautiful. They would even say it to her face, some of them. "Mary, you are the most beautiful woman I've ever laid eyes on." And they'd mean it. Her reply was always the same. "Honey, your eyes are worse than mine." Then she'd peel off her trifocals, blink in that fragile way of very old ladies, and pass her glasses over, saying, "Here, see if they help you any." And the people would always laugh and change the subject, wishing there was some better way to tell her what the feeling was they had right then in their hearts. Even Everett, her son, the businessman, would come in and sit longer and quieter than he'd ever sat in his life.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?